Hey everyone, this is Corrine Lafont, your favorite radio host, your only radio host, and favorite girl, of course, broadcasting to you from the lovely island of Trinidad and Tobago in the Caribbean on Between the Lines. And you know how we do it here on Between the Lines? Always with gratitude, always with thankfulness. Either one is good to go. And I'm so thankful to be here. It's a beautiful day in Trinidad and Tobago, and I am above ground to do another episode of my show and to hang around wonderful people like the guy you're seeing next to me in his nice little Caribbean shirt. Can you imagine? I think he just knew that he was coming to the Caribbean today and wore that nice little flowery shirt. It looks nice. It looks nice.
Thank you.
So let me tell you what we're talking about today. You're welcome. And today we're talking about endurance and courage in unthinkable circumstances. Let me repeat that: endurance and courage in unthinkable circumstances. And let me tell you a bit about our guest today. Robert Ray started his career in the early 70s, working in the maritime industry as an apprentice mechanic, rebuilding engines, pumps, and turbos. He started his own company, Pacific Western Services Incorporated, where he is currently employed. He's been married for 48 years, has two great grandchildren. He's great people, okay? Two great grandchildren and three grandsons. He and his wife live on the island of Maui. That's why he's wearing the shirt in Hawaii.
Right.
So he is a fellow islander, okay, people? So he knows what it is for island life. And let me just put it out there, Robert. One of my dreams, one of my wishes is to wear a coconut bra and grass skirt. Okay, that is one of my dreams, to wear a coconut bra and grass skirt and do a little hula, whatever dance that is. Okay, and to
I can send that
that's
to
one
you.
of my dreams. So meeting you is getting me closer to my dreams.
Fantastic.
So so welcome, Robert,
Thank
to
you for having
Between the Lines. It's great to have you here. It's great to have you. And before coming live on air, Robert was saying to me that this is his first interview. And I see four people are already watching. So he has some fans out there. So welcome to all the fans. And I know his brother is watching. So let me just acknowledge him. He had a comment before. He's like, Brother Bob, let me just show it. Brother Bob, where are you? We're waiting, Bill.
Bill Jr., my older brother.
Yes, we're waiting. So we're here now, Brother Bob, or brother of Robert. So we're here, okay? So you can interact with us, ask your questions, all the hoopla, hoorays, and excitement. We're here now and we're live. So great to have you and all the family and relatives and friends and fans of Robert Ray. So let's get some things out now. So unthinkable circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah. Endurance and courage in unthinkable circumstances. So, Robert, I want you to share your experience of an unthinkable circumstance you were in and why endurance and courage was critical, I guess, to your survival because you're here now. And let's, as we go along in the conversation, why do you think those two things are important when being faced in unthinkable circumstances? I hand over to you.
Well, we never think about those kinds of circumstances happening to us as whether we're kids or whether we're adults. It just happens. And for us, living on a tugboat and transporting barges, two barges, back and forth between Alaska and Seattle, Washington. We all knew our jobs very well on board. We had a 9-man crew total, including me. And the tugboat was ocean going. Everybody that was on board was licensed crew. So we were professionals. We did this for a living. Um, but never in my waking lifetime did I ever think that the tugboat would sink. And I'm sure none of the other crewmen at the time ever thought that as well. And we all every trip before we left, or just as we were leaving, we all knew how to put on our survival suits. We all had man overboard drills. Um, so we had plenty of suits on board. Everybody had a suit that they could put on. So we would actually put them on, zip them up, make sure that they worked. We would put paraffin, which is a wax, on the actual suits themselves, so that they operated easily. And then in our staterooms, we had a casing that the actual suits sat in the case, sat in. And then when we needed them, we could pull them out, unzip it, and then put them on if needed. So for us to be able to know how they worked and then not to use them, I was the only one that put the survival suit on. Why the others didn't, I've thought about that many times. The only thing I can think of is that they were panicking. I told the Coast Guard at the hearing that I had that it took between 10 and 15 minutes to come out of my stateroom, climb up the stairs, then crawl across the pilot house on my hands and knees, put the suit on, leaning up against the chart table, and then step outside the port side door. And in reality, after they timed me, I went to the sister ship of the Tug Eagle, and they timed me doing it. It actually took me 2 minutes and 20 seconds. So if you're not prepared for what's going to happen, you don't have much time. And it doesn't seem like that until it actually happens. And of course, when you never think that it's going to happen to you, and then it does, and you're not prepared, I'll tell you, it's a frightful feeling. Horrifying is the word that I think about the most of when it's all going on, because it's so much chaos. With a boat that's 130 feet long, 5,700 horsepower, pulling two barges in the Gulf of Alaska in 50 to 60 foot seas, and the boat starts sinking and you're 65 miles offshore. You can't swim in that kind of weather. You can't hardly float in that kind of weather. It's impossible. And so for me to pull my suit out, get outside my stateroom, and right across from my stateroom was the captain's. And normally, if we're on watch, we put the door open. We leave the door open so that if anybody's going by there looking for you, they can see your stateroom is open and make sure that you're not in there if they're looking for you. For whatever reason, he closed his door. When I came out of my stateroom, the vessel was already heeled over probably 40 degrees, and I fell onto his door. But if his door would have been open, I would have fell all the way through. Then I would have had to have tried to climb out, get back up the stairs, and I don't know if I would have made it out of there or not. But it was closed. I was able to fall against there, climb up the stairs, because the pilot house was another deck above mine, climb up, crawl on my hands and knees, put the suit on, step outside the door. And once I did, the only thing that was showing on the tug from standing up by the door outside was one exhaust stack. The other one was completely underwater. The whole aft part of the tug was under the water. So there we were, standing, waiting for the vessel to go all the way under before we had to jump in the water because the waves were so horrendous. You can't imagine 50 to 60 foot seas with 70 mile an hour winds. I mean, I can see them in my dreams from time to time, but to try to explain them to you is almost impossible. So it was.
Robert, let me tell you something, Robert. I'm listening to you and it sounds like a movie. I would only be in the movie, not in real life. I'm going to tell you that right now. And I prefer that it be in my dreams and not be real. How you manage to survive that And to be able to tell the story, it's amazing to me because here's what I'm thinking. You are out at sea, you're telling us the story of what you experience. And I'm saying to myself, like all of us have faced unthinkable circumstances in our lives of different magnitudes. And I'm saying to myself, how does a human being, no matter how prepared he may be, is able, he or she actually, is able to, in that situation, be able to stay calm enough to put all the training that they have been trained on in place in a calm and efficient manner. What is going through your mind that makes you just tick like that and stay calm and just follow through amidst the amount of fear that is around you? What does it take?
You have to be able to stay calm. You have to be able to rely on the training that you've had. Um, and you have to have the endurance to be able to survive it once you leave the ship. And I was hoping that that would never happen. When I got up to the pilot house, and after I put the survival suit on, the captain, the second mate, and one able-bodied seaman were already outside the port side door. I got out. I asked the AB who was standing there if the suit was zipped up all the way. And his face was as white as a ghost. He knew the gig was up. He knew it was up. You can't jump into that water wearing a pair of jeans, a jean jacket, cowboy boots, and a hat and expect to survive. You can't. He knew it. I knew it. The other two knew it. And I'll tell you, once the boat started to sink completely, the waves were beating us so bad and beating that boat so bad, we had to
Wow.
jump because otherwise it could have pulled us down if we would have been close enough to it. So the captain hollered. He jumped off the bow or jumped forward towards the bow, along with the mate and the AB following him. But I had the suit on. I jumped towards the raft. I had a hold of the raft. The raft had launched itself, and I had a hold of it and was holding on to it. They could have followed me, got on my back because I was already in the water, climbed on me, climbed inside the raft because it had water. It had a big dome on it. It would have kept us warm, and it would have been a big target for the Coast Guard to see. But they didn't. They just followed the captain, jumped in that water. Once they jumped, I never saw them again. I had a hold of the raft, but the raft was still attached to the boat, and the boat was sinking. I didn't know if the hydrostatic release, which is a button on the side of the raft where the rope is tied off to the ship. I didn't know if that was going to release or not. So I was afraid when the vessel would sink, it would act like a vortex, pull that life raft down with it, and then I would be stuck inside, not being able to get out. So I let go of the raft, found a piece of poly line, 1-inch poly line with a 4-foot eye. I slung it over my head and then started to go up and down the waves with the back of my head into the sea. So it worked as sort of a protection because the life raft or the survival suit had a hood on it. So once I started that, I started using my feet as paddles, my legs as paddles, and then tried to go up the side of the wave. And as I got closer to the top, you could hear the wind. And the seas were about 50 feet, but then at the top you have the wind where it's blowing the tops of the wave off. And it's like a freight train. As you get closer to the top, you hear the wind stronger and stronger, and then sometimes the wave would hit me in the back of the head, roll me over down the same side of the wave, and I would pop back up, it had a cover that went across your face, like so. So only thing was exposed was your eyes, but this piece and I was breathing very hard, of course, because of what was going on. And then it had a high rider ring on the suit as well that went underneath your shoulders and behind your head. The high rider ring, though, was supposed to keep your head out of the water. But what was happening for me was it was blowing that high rider ring when I would get to the top and the waves would hit me, blow that high rider ring across my eyes. So now my eyes are blocked. This piece is over my face. I'm trying to see what I'm doing, get back ready to get another wave. So I'd pull this down, this over the top of my head, and get ready to do it again. And I did that for between 3 and 4 hours.
Robert, Robert, let me just put in a plug here. When you get the movie deal, could you please call me to play a small part in the movie? That's all I'm asking. When you get the movie deal, just a small part, just a
Absolutely.
small part, because this is definitely a movie. And I see Leigh, if I pronounce it right, Lee Fagan is saying, wow, scary. It is scary. And I'm thinking, I believe that everything happens for a reason, Robert. And it happens for a reason and to people for a reason. And for it to happen to you, not that it may not have happened to other people in different ways and forms, but you are on my show today, and this is your first time being interviewed live and on a podcast. And I thank you for that. And the thing I'm thinking is, why do you think it happened to you? And what do you want people to learn from your story and your book, which we are going to be featuring in a little while? What it is that you want people to take away from your experience of endurance and courage?
Miracle. This was a miracle. And a lot of people don't really understand what I mean by that if it hasn't happened to you. We have a lot of little miracles happen to us during our lifetime, and then sometimes we have horrific miracles that happen. I didn't do this. I mean, I didn't survive on my own. I was helped by God. There's no other way to put it. There's no getting around it. I was saved here to be able to tell others things like this happen. And they happen all the time. Maybe not as horrific, but it happens all the time. And nobody believes that it's going to happen to them. I never in my wildest imagination thought this would happen to me. But it does. It happened to me, and it'll happen to you. And if you're not prepared for what's going to happen, especially the crazy times we're going through now with all these crazy, crazy things that I never thought I would see in my lifetime are happening now.
Yeah.
And you just need to be prepared. If you're in this kind of a position, you need to make sure you can fall back on your training. You need to stay calm, figure out what needs to be done, how you can get it done, and then do it. And then do it. And then help if like my shipmates, I tried to help. One of them, they was hollering from inside, wanted us to help him, but you couldn't go inside. I knew if I went inside, I would not come out.
Wow. Wow. So I don't even want to ask the question, but I'm going to ask because I know people probably are thinking it. Were there any other survivors? Tell me that everybody.
No one survived with me. The three that were with me,
What?
three of the sailors that were with me that jumped into the water, I never saw them again. And the other 5 that were inside were trapped inside and didn't get out. And these guys knew this boat. We had sailed together for 2.5 years. It's not like this was their first trip or anything. The panic had to set in. For the oiler who worked with me, I was the chief engineer on board. The oiler who worked with me, I believe he was trying to do whatever he could down in the engine room. And I pray for him all the time. I with a vessel flopping over on its side, you have whatever's in the bilges coming up, you have hot oil, you have whatever isn't tied down, is flying around there, and then you got to climb up a stairway, open a door, another stairway. It just didn't happen. They were trapped inside and never got out.
That's
And the boat sank, and it was too deep to be able to retrieve the tug or any of that. The boat, the two barges we were towing acted as an anchor. And then the boats, the actual tow line broke, and the two barges washed up on shore the next day. We saved those two barges, and they towed them back, and they used them again.
how were you found? How were you found out in the ocean there? How were you found?
I had on my suit what they call a well, it was just a light, and I didn't have an EPIRB on it, but I just had a light on it that would shine as it started getting darker. But the captain had given a mayday and gave it across the radio. We used channel 16 as an emergency channel for the Coast Guard, and Associated Press monitors that regularly. So they had heard the mayday and the coordinates that he had gave them, so the Coast Guard knew where to search. And then they did a pattern. They would go forward, sideways, up, forward, sideways, and keep going back and forth in that area. They saw the debris line, they saw fuel in the water, and the captain who was operating the helicopter saw me, and at the same time, the corpsman who was operating the winch for the helicopter saw me. And I remember coming up the side of one of the waves, and I saw a helicopter because I heard them give the mayday, but I didn't know if anybody had heard it. So I was thinking, I'm going to have to survive here for however long it takes. They saw me anyway, and they came over the top of me. They lowered a 50-foot line with a basket attached to the bottom of that. And the first two times I could not get in the basket because it was so rough. It was, if I got anywhere close to it, it would just beat me up something fierce. But the third time, the basket came and it stopped. It's just stopped right in front of me within arm's reach. So I grabbed a hold of the outside of the basket, and they pulled me up, hanging on to the outside of the basket with a survival suit on, and I had a beard at the time. The water would come in through the front of my survival suit, and it filled up my suit up to about my knees, and then it had a purge valve that would allow the water to come out. So I held on to the very top. When I got up to the top, still hanging on, the corpsman was trapped between the line and the helicopter. So another crewman came out, pushed the line away from him so he could slip out from behind it. He hit the winch the rest of the way, and then they pulled me up and inside the helicopter. And then we looked for another 30 minutes or so until it got so dark we couldn't see, and then we returned to base.
This is a movie. This is a movie, Robert. I swear. This is a movie. Oh my God. And for you to be the only survivor that you know of, it is clearly a miracle. Endurance and courage. You mentioned a while ago, as we're wrapping up and coming to the end, about the pandemic and being prepared, and things are happening in the world that we need to be prepared for. But my question is, and my thinking is, how do you prepare for something that you don't even know that's coming? How do you prepare? It's not like you're planning a trip. I'm hearing myself echoing. It's not like you're planning a trip and you can say, okay, we know we're going here, we're staying here, we're going to need food for so much days, etc. For things that we don't know that's coming, how do you prepare for that?
Well, you have to kind of keep your wits and don't believe everything that you hear anymore. You don't know what is the truth, what isn't the truth. how the vaccine is great for you, how it's not great for you. You have to use your own judgment the best way that you possibly know how. For me, I'm a Christian. I believe in God, the Father Almighty. I believe He saved me for a reason. Maybe it's to tell the people who read the book or to listen to your show that these kinds of things happen. But
Mhm.
keep your head. Don't get so out of control. Be prepared as you can for whatever might happen. If the power goes out or whatever, do you have extra food? Do you have a way to eat? Do you have water? Do you have any kind of generator? How about those kinds of things? Simple things we can all do.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I am showing your website here now. Darkness in the light of day. I'm hearing myself echoing. I'm just going to mute you while I'm talking. So, darkness in the light of day. Is there anything that you would want to showcase about your book? Well, I know how people can get your book. It's featured there on the website. But is there a reason why a person should really try and get a copy? I mean, after listening to you, they should get a copy. They should get a copy. But is there anything in particular that you would want
It's
to
a it's a
highlight?
true story. This is a true survivor story, and
Mhm.
things do happen to you that are out of your control. It. I'm an average person, just like everybody else. I happen to survive this. Just be aware. Be safe. Know your surroundings around you. Watch what's going on. Uh, the book just tells you a little bit about my family life and where I started in my career and where I am now. Um, Darkness in the light of day meant this was the darkest day I have ever seen in my life. This was happened around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was dark. I mean, it seemed like it was starting to get like the sun was already down, and this was in the afternoon. So that's where I got that. But light shined on me enough to rescue me, to tell my story, to tell you folks that be aware of what's going on in your lifetime. If you can keep safe, stay safe in your job, at your home, do it.
Mhm.
And hopefully, I will be able to
Yeah.
tell more people about it and get them to kind of think about what's their surroundings are and what's going on in their lives.
I see you have a lovely book trailer here. I anticipate, well, it's 1 minute. Let's feature it. Awesome. 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 That's a great way to close off our interview. Wonderful. Wonderful. Let me just get back to you here. Robert, that is a compelling story. Compelling. I have seen movies with that type of thing, and I'm like, oh, hell no. No. Oh, hell no. But this is awesome. And I am so thankful that you were able to survive. I am sad for the ones who didn't, but I'm thankful that you were the one that survived to be able to be on my show, which is significant, to share that story and to let persons know no matter what they're going through that they can survive. Faith, trust, and trusting what you were trained and taught to do and just follow your instincts at that particular point in time is all you have to depend
That's
on.
all.
You can't ask for advice from another human being. That's all it is. Trust in your God,
Yes,
trust in faith, trust in what you know, and just follow your instincts. That's all that is left
that's right.
there for you to do. Thank you so much for being on Between the Lines. I see Lee is saying that she agrees it's a miracle. It cannot be anything else but a miracle. And she's also saying here, pursue, praise the Lord for Bob Ray's miracle.
Yes, I do
Yes,
every day.
yes,
I
it
do every
definitely
day.
is. And there are, oh yes, be thankful. There is
Yes,
a
I am.
reason for everything and for what you go through. There is a reason. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
for having me. I really
Robert,
appreciate it,
for
Karine.
being here on my show. Yes, it's been a pleasure. And thank you for making this your first podcast. I hope it will not be the last. And Lee is also saying she's quite interactive. Preview of the movie. Yes, Lee. We're going to have a little role in the movie. Don't you worry. Robert will set us up. He already has the trailer to the movie set up. Don't you worry. It will be me and you and Robert.
Thank you.
Okay? We are part of the cast and
Thank you.
crew. All right.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much, Robert, for being on Between the Lines and for sharing your story. I'm sure that it will have an impact on others as it has on clearly Lee and myself. Thank you so much. And to all the persons who have been watching and listening,
Thank you for watching.
even though they haven't been as interactive as Lee, thank you so much for watching and listening. Take care
Aloha.
and have a great evening.